Subscribe to Legacy of Survival right now, because what you're about to hear isn't recycled war trivia. This is the kind of domestic warfare history most official records barely acknowledge, the kind learned through bruises, broken bones, and silence. During the Second World War, ordinary homes quietly became defensive structures, and staircases turned into weapons. Not for soldiers on the front lines, but for civilians who knew the war could arrive through their own front door at night. If you care about real survival history, stay with me, because this knowledge still matters today. During the height of the Blitz, when blackouts swallowed cities and police response times stretched thin, burglary, infiltration and sabotage became real threats on the home front. In Britain especially, the government encouraged civilians to harden their homes against intruders, deserters, looters, and even enemy agents. Staircases, narrow and unavoidable, became one of the most effective places to do that. A staircase forces movement in a straight line, limits visibility, and removes the option to retreat quickly. That combination made it ideal for traps that didn't rely on constant vigilance. One of the most common staircase traps involved deliberate missteps built into the structure itself. Homeowners would subtly alter riser heights, usually near the top or bottom of the stairs, where muscle memory betrays intruders moving quickly in the dark. These weren't crude changes. A difference of even 2 centimeters was enough. An intruder ascending fast would plant a foot, expecting a solid step, only to overstep and pitch forward violently. Descending was worse. A missed riser on the way down often resulted in shattered ankles or legs, especially when combined with blackout conditions. These modifications were legal, invisible, and devastating. Another widely used tactic involved removable or collapsible steps. Some households installed a hinged tread partway up the staircase, usually disguised beneath carpet or linoleum. When weight was applied suddenly, the tread would drop just enough to throw the person forward, sending them tumbling down the remaining stairs. The homeowner knew exactly where it was and stepped around it every day. An intruder did not. Wartime police reports document multiple cases of suspected burglars found unconscious at the bottom of staircases with no obvious signs of struggle, only severe lower body injuries. In rural areas and older townhouses, staircases often turned sharply or narrowed near landings. These features were exploited deliberately. Nails, metal strips, or even repurposed bayonet fragments were fixed under stair edges where a sliding foot would naturally travel. These weren't meant to kill, they were meant to disable. A punctured foot or torn tendon ensured the intruder couldn't flee, especially under blackout conditions when screaming risked attention. Civilians understood that silence was survival. The most brutal staircase traps were weighted counter-drop mechanisms. These involved a heavy object, sometimes a sandbag or iron weight, suspended above the stairwell and connected to a pressure trigger on a step. When triggered, the weight would swing or fall, striking the intruder mid-fall and multiplying the force. These devices, they really echo techniques that were later taught by organizations like the Special Operations Executive. But during the war, they were, well, improvised right at home by civilians who had no illusions about mercy. What made staircase traps especially effective was honestly psychological conditioning. People, they tend to move faster and less carefully on stairs inside a house, just assuming, familiarity and safety. Burglars relied on speed. German intelligence agents, well, they feared delays. Staircases punished both instincts. British Home Guard manuals, which were circulated quietly, emphasised stair control as a last defensive choke point. The Home Guard, they understood that a single broken leg could, in fact, neutralise a threat without even firing a shot. There are, modern lessons here for survivalists and security-minded homeowners. While many World War II methods would be illegal today, the principles, well, they remain valid. Controlled movement, uneven pacing, and forced caution still work even now. Modern applications include things like intentional lighting contrasts on stair landings, textured anti-slip strips placed asymmetrically, and auditory alerts triggered by weight changes. If you live in a multi-level home today, you ought to think in terms of stair dominance. Avoid uniformity that benefits muscle memory, right? Use lighting that you control, but others don't anticipate. Install handrails that feel solid, but guide movement where you want it. During World War II, people didn't have motion sensors or cameras. They had gravity, geometry, and human error. And, well, they used all three ruthlessly. These staircase traps weren't sadistic, not at all. They were practical responses to a time when help simply wasn't coming. Police couldn't patrol blackout streets. Neighbours stayed silent. A broken leg at the bottom of the stairs meant survival for the family upstairs. That's the context modern discussions often ignore. This wasn't paranoia. It was wartime reality, shaped by necessity. If this kind of overlooked survival history matters to you, subscribe to Legacy of Survival. Share this episode with someone who still believes war only happens on battlefields, and, keep these lessons alive. History like this survives only if we pass it on.